Bad news, I'm afraid. The expected upgrades that were coming to our car have been delayed because of a situation with the wind tunnel, apparently. But nonetheless, we persevere with round 3, Australia. If you had to watch the first 2, then the playlist link is below, along with just the previous race link specifically, so feel free to get caught up that way if you so desire. But on that point of the wind tunnel data concern, apparently there was a fault that could have escalated over time, so it's a good job I did pause the production of those pieces. I figured there was a bit of a dilemma whether or not we'd manufacture them in time for the Australia race anyway, but because there's a gap here because of the abandoned Chinese Grand Prix, I figured it was okay to push those a week, because all that basically does is means that we're not developing them in time for Australia, which was a 50-50 decision either way to start with. Now we just try and develop them in time for, or manufacture them I should say, in time for Azerbaijan, which is quite a long way away, as we all remember in real life. Yeah, it's surprising how long a month feels when there's no Formula 1. Thankfully, I can just click through and we can pass that time in the blink of an eye. No further details, just similarly still aggressively attacking the operations facilities, particularly the helipad, which have got to plus 4%. I'm now leaving that to deteriorate to the point where then I will take tier 5 rather than refurbing it. Tour Centre is similarly about to be 5. Weather Centre, we're just getting up to 70%, and the boardroom I'm bringing up because early feedback is apparently it's quite easy to get fired, particularly if you don't have any points. It's only 2 races, but I've yet to get any points on Haas after 2 races either. And their Haas, Nico Hulkenberg does have a point for them in this universe, and remains the only anomaly between the 2 saves that actually has a point outside of Red Bull, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes and Alpine, who have been in the top 10 of all 3 other races I've done so far across both saves. Really hoping someone upsets the apple cart there soon. We're also scouting the relevant staff members that would improve our positions of aerodynamics, and the one person that would improve over Jody Egginton, sorry Jody, the 77 of Dick and Balforth I feel slightly less apologetic for. You know, he's on an 80 at least, Jody. But I am scouting the one person who is interested and is better than him, along with Teo Pocher. Now, the other 4 drivers we did have a look at originally on the first round of scouting. Albon, Ricciardo, obviously for the real life aspect, Mick Schumacher and Iwasa, who I think is in the Red Bull program. I might be wrong on that front, but I've scouted all of them with the potential of taking any of them up instead of Nick de Vries once his grace period is over, and I will assess his status at the end of the Silverstone Grand Prix, and then if he survives, then summer break. I think once you get to the summer break, you'd then just set it sign for the end of the year rather than immediately. But if you haven't got the driver installed before the return of Formula 1, then end of year. Iwasa's development rate is high, his contract is reasonable, it's out of contract at the end of the month as well. Mick Schumacher's development rate is only average, unfortunately. He's also low aggression, what I don't understand. Danny Ricciardo's buyout fee is more than I was anticipating. I figured his salary wasn't insubstantial, but the fact it would cost 1.6 million to buy him out now, admittedly, in 7 races' time, that might be more reasonable. I mean, well, Albon has 2 years left on his contract. He's only average development, but he is 27 now, but that's a bigger buyout. So those are the options we've got so far. Teo Pocher coming soon as a F2 driver that is already the same rating as Nick de Vries. I figured it was a sensible option to maybe have a look at just in terms of overall capabilities. But that's the roundup of things that I figured you probably ought to know before we head into the Australian Grand Prix proper. I will see you for qualifying, as always. A relatively unproblematic practice sessions. Hulkenberg had an off and that was it. I'm slightly concerned the game's played it too safe, but I've seen other people's feedback and they're worried about having too many crashes, too many safety cars, too many red flags, and I've yet to have any. I've had I think 2 virtual safety cars in 2 practice sessions across what is now 2.5 Grand Prix. No issues there again. It does say heavy rain, but we had heavy rain in practice, so I do wonder if it is going to be in qualification as well. Dry to start with, and must remember to put the correct car parts in. Alright, so the last fresh engine, 3rd gearbox as well. There we go. Get a use out of them. So confidence obviously affects the overall driving capability, so you know, Yuki driving around at peak performance presumably actually put him quite significantly off the end of that, so vastly improved things like braking, which we know was potent last year. So I wonder if this system's actually better or not. I don't mind if it's kind of affects their willingness to do an overtake or defend, like just overtaking and defending, but I'm not sure driver confidence should necessarily improve these statistics, which are kind of more bigger picture, because it means if you have a good qualifying and then get overtaken by cars that are faster than you, then that plummets your confidence. Similarly, if you're the last one to pit and drivers come through you that have pitted, then you're going to lose confidence. So I do hope the confidence system is a little bit more nuanced than it looks like it's been so far. Maybe I've just not been paying too much attention to it, particularly in those situations where it's a faster car coming through. I haven't really noticed what kind of the severity of the confidence hits have been like. But, you know, for instance, say like a Hamilton pits from 6th and ends up 15th. He's likely to then drive straight through a De Vries or Tsunoda who hasn't pitted yet. And that will count as an overtake. But off we go. Our driver's leading the line in this Q1. Everyone's just gone immediately. Hang on. Why has everyone gone immediately? That might be why. A smidgen of water at the end. You get them in and back out again, if absolutely necessary. It's not going to stay Peter, is he, though? He was the second person across the line and had gone second of 2. Oh, God, the times are coming in now. Bottas and Zhou behind. Piastri behind. Norris ahead and both Williams ahead. That's just in the bottom 5 then, because it's only Leclerc and Verstappen left. Do you reckon we can get them in and out again straight away before this rain comes? I think we can. To be fair, it doesn't matter as long as they've done the flying lap here. It doesn't really matter too much because they could do the in lap when the rain begins. But looking at the timings of this, I think we'll try and blitz the second one just to see if we can get out. We're in the bottom 5. Like if I was up here, it wouldn't bother. But yeah, it's taken exactly that to get to here, so it will take exactly that to get to the rain now. So some people are coming out again, which is concerning because this is our outlap and everyone's literally just come out of the pit lane. Oh, for God's sake, they're not going to make it for the rain. No problem about the traffic. There's so much traffic. We've been royally mugged off here. Those 4 might be all right here, but I suspect everyone has backwards here is going to be in a huge problem. This Ferrari's an absolute lunatic. I mean, I'd go on board, but it doesn't really feel worth it because he's got to go through everyone. There's a Mercedes just driving on the racing line. Yeah, both have done slower first second, just completely worthless. I'm sorry, what? The AI drivers are better at getting out of the way this year, but still catching them at like the wrong spot. And like here, for instance, it's still a problem. They've gone slower in both first and second. I mean, they had to deal with all of that traffic. The good news is now they're going to hold all them up. Yeah, I don't know what lap they did, but yeah, we've been mugged off there by stupid AI. It started to rain. I said everyone has backwards might be in a spot of bother here in terms of the rain. Almost correct. Second Aston Martin kind of probably is going to be affected here. What if he'll come straight in? Yeah, no one's going to improve here now, so maybe the Zhou Guanyu might get ahead of Piastri depending where he was on that train. Thanks everyone. Thanks for being idiots. Thanks for coming out way too late and just getting in the way of our flying laps. It's weird. The AI had the right idea, but they did it too late. So it's like they were half intelligent. Like, they're so close to getting it. They're so close to getting it, but they needed to come out a minute earlier, i.e. directly behind us. That's almost more frustrating than them coming out once it was raining, like at the end, and just being thick. No such issues for the race, which is apparently either a 1 or a 2 stop. I don't know what's happened to the comparison thing here between versions. Can we get that back? Apparently a 2 stop will be faster though. I mean, I'm looking at these and seeing that a 1 stop is viable, which seems utterly wrong, considering I'm pretty certain it was at least a 2 stop in reality. I think the Australia race ended up being a 3 stop for some teams. Like, the tyre wear Australia was incredible. I mean, I'm going to presume this is viable, so I'm going to see what I can do on this, and if it will be faster. I can get it to 27, which is 9 seconds faster. Nick De Vries is second of 2, right? I'll do his that way around. It's 1 second slower, but I'll do his that way around. Admittedly, these are strategies that are only viable because we do have 2 entirely fresh sets of softs from going out immediately, so I suspect they'd be a little bit more awkward if they weren't.
Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Focusing on our drivers towards the back, De Vries has got Tsunoda off the line, which makes 0 sense whatsoever. De Vries has been shunted back down to 17th, where he belongs. Having to go with Sargent, though, trying to get that place back. Achieved it, briefly. We'll come back here on the straight. Fortunately, the softs appears to have the drive now. There was no point coming back there. Why are we looking that far back? When it's Tsunoda that blocks him off. It doesn't really make the overtake happen until there. Right, that's pushing the tyre limit temperatures. Tyre temperature limits. They'll continue to just rise up a little bit. Okay, they went inside each other there. Marginally concerning. Oh, actually, the softs can go higher here. Must be a harder compound. Because I think it was 105 at Saudi. Or a softer route. I don't know which way it goes, technically, for temperature relevance. But De Vries sails in behind Sargent in the end. That's the top 12. The same 12 as they have always been. Unless I get someone crashing, I don't think the top 12 is changing, which is depressing as hell. True as our drivers are still deploying. First daylight race, actually, I now realise. Both Bahrain and Jeddah done under the lights. No rain for the race, is there? No. I know it said cloudy for the race, but, you know, our weather centre isn't superb. I suppose it wouldn't have showed it if weather centre got it wrong. Everyone appears to have started on a fresh set, which is odd. I wonder if there was a wet practice round which gave everyone a set of softs. DRS now enabled, but it's double DRS there, and I don't know if it's double DRS on the back as well. 4 DRS sections here in Australia this year, but it's 2 sets of double. As we flip it back to interval, Norris has been dropped by Albon, who is in a train with Magnussen at the head, which will inevitably end up with Ocon getting in front of him, and then that becoming the top 10 that's been top 10 in every race I've done so far. Still pushing fuel here. Both drivers with DRS. Interesting that De Vries actually had DRS on Sargent there. Into the right-hander. Not really getting that close to Norris, which is awkward. Bearing in mind he's on mediums, I think. He is, yeah. This two-stop could go catastrophically wrong, by the way. Apparently DRS is less effective this year, so fingers crossed, you know, being in a DRS train isn't as beneficial. We crossed the line with energy in the bank, so not in it. Oh my god, that's violent. Hunting Lando down. That's not the angle to go, Yuki. I mean, I'm not certain we could get much closer. That's what 2/10 looks like on the road, apparently. 1.5 tenths. I mean, he's basically inside Lando at this stage, so I get the feeling he's going to do him in the DRS sections this time round. Fuel seems to be taking a lot longer to burn this time. I mean, it says overtake failed, Yuki. From my perspective, which is your perspective because of the camera we're using, it doesn't look like you're trying. I mean, that's 2 movements. I think we've got him there. We'll watch the replay of that one because, blimey. Yeah, well, nice to see an overtake. Tsunoda does say thank you very much, although probably in Japanese. Yuki just let Lando pass. I'm sorry, we'll watch this one again. I didn't think there was anything about to happen there, so I didn't talk over it. I thought, oh, Lando's a nice distance back, and then Yuki just stops and lets him through. What's the assessment an overtake as a mugging? Anyway, double DRS for Yuki now. Again, gotta stop pushing that fuel now. Lap 5, losing 0.1 a lap, which is a lot less than it was at other tracks. I think arguably it's better to be behind for this set of double DRS. So then you can do this kind of thing. On the... Nope, he's trying to do the outside there, which is what Lando tried to do, but... Oh well. Joe Guan Yu on mediums, okay. Piastri on softs, yeah, that makes more sense. I did wonder why you were so far detached already. That engine doesn't sound great. We're back on board with Yuki. This is quite a decent camera angle. I think they've moved this camera a little bit. It looks a little bit better this time round. Helmer cam, again. Double DRS. Switch to the inside, Yuki. I mean, you're pushing Lando there. Confidence is still quite high, so these failed overtakes aren't really taking a toll. But he's 5 seconds behind Lando. I might just get him to... sorry, Lando's 5 seconds behind Albon is what I was trying to get to. That doesn't look like there's enough space for him to overtake. Try to do to Lando what you did to him? Yeah, okay, so that's an issue with that corner then. What is that? Turn 3, I suppose. I might write that up as a bug, really, because it seems like an odd spot. Oh, turn 4, apparently. Yeah, it almost like the driver on the inside yields if the driver on the outside is at a certain point. Like, there's no fight there. It is turn 3, actually. That's just a lie from Crofty. But yeah, considering I've seen that happen twice now, I think that's getting reported. I worry about De Vries harvesting at this point, just because he's on the fringe of not being in DRS at all. And in fact, I don't think he'll actually have it this time around unless he bucks his idea up through these couple of corners. May have just got it. But I wonder how many times that overtake will happen between Norris and Tsunoda. They appear to be fighting right now, though, on lap 9, as we're looking at the wrong driver. Now, this is the problematic one because... Good, right. Tsunoda's maintained the position behind Norris, because he was the one without DRS there. So as long as he stays in DRS range and ahead of Sargent, then he won't get taken by both by accident. We'll stop topping up then, I think, because that's looking like it's a bit of a problem. Well, everyone's got Hulkenberg, at least. That's something a little bit different. Sainz appears to be poor on his tyres this year. A lot more bad. A lot more bad. That's good English. A lot worse on his tyres than he was last year. Because he's the smooth operator. He's the one that maintained his tyres the best last year. I wonder if that's part of Ferrari, though. I'll stick Tsunoda on battle assist, see if that makes a difference. Just in case he's using his ERS in the wrong places. Incidentally, I think top up's done like the wrong percentage, because it's topping up 0.2 of an MJ, millijoule, megajoule, but that's only like 5% of the entire battery, so it's not really anything. So it's only topping up 5% a lap, so top up would still take 20 laps. Good overtake there, though. On the inside, I don't think we've actually seen him taking anyone on the inside there. I mean, from 0, harvesting is plus 1 megajoule, so it would take 4 laps to get to full if you're on 0 to begin with. Top up takes 20, so I think that's not really like the 50-50 marker there. Oh, Sargent's having to go at Norris now behind. That's a curious development, and possibly more problematic for Yuki long term. I feel like you can be more aggressive on these, but even so, we're not really getting a super amount of tyre wear out of this. Like, Nick de Vries could be a little bit more aggressive because he's not sort of in danger of running out at the very end. But just like Norris's paces have evaporated all of a sudden, and I don't really know why. He's on mediums, but nothing really indicating there why that would be a thing. As Sargent gets past and then drives away with double DRS, but, you know, we'll get him back. Or not. I'm sorry. Sargent's just done 3 personal bests. What lap time did he just do? A 1:23.9. Sainz did a 1:23.7. Who's on softs at the front? Alonso, Stroll, Russell. And Sargent's on the same tyre. Sargent just went faster than Alonso, Stroll and Russell on the same tyre on the same wear. I'm calling nonsense on these random laps that certain cars just do out of nowhere. Like, maybe that's just like a 1 lap thing where they've gone, right, I'm using full ERS, all that jazz. The fact that Sargent is just capable of doing a lap faster than Alonso and Stroll in Australia is insane in its own right. Now, Alonso and Stroll have done faster laps this time round. I want to know what Sargent's lap is this time. 1:25.2. How did he just do a 1:23? Bear in mind he was green in all sectors, so that wasn't just a DRS thing on us, because he got us immediately. And I don't know if that was even the same lap. He wouldn't have had DRS on the back straights. So there's no reason why he would have just driven away. But I think that was already 1 lap in. I don't think that was a DRS-assisted lap. So please explain to me why Sargent is going faster than Tsunoda right now. Tsunoda's a better driver. The car might be slightly worse than the Williams overall. But Tsunoda is a vastly better driver than Sargent. On the same tyre, with better tyre wear. And yet he's half a second slower. 7% better tyre wear. 6 rating higher overall, and yet this is happening. I mean, I get Norris because Norris is on, mediums now, and I think the tyre differential's moving back into their favour now. 3 laps until Tsunoda's in. We're on 57%? I think we can actually go aggressive on these tyres. Is Yuki the one with DRS here? He is. We'll watch this fight back. Lovely. Does kind of look like he went in the barriers at the end there. Bear in mind that the temperature range on these went up to like 110, so I think we can go actually relatively aggressive here and keep them in a temperature window. This is more like a learning exercise. Because the previous 2 tracks, the tyres were prone to overheating. Here, I think we can sort of get a little bit more out of them pace-wise. I want to know what Yuki's time was that lap. 1:24.9. Sargent, despite not pushing, 1:24.8. I'm just gonna let De Vries push for the last 5 laps of his first stint here as well, just because I don't think he's in any danger of running out of medium tyres within 5 laps here. So optimal pit stop for Yuki Tsunoda onto the mediums from here. Go aggressive on this one particular lap. We'll push the fuel as well on this one particular lap. If he doesn't gain any time on Sargent on this 1 lap here, I'm calling shenanigans. Because if he doesn't gain any time on Sargent here, the game is officially broken. He did an identical lap time despite pushing on tyres that are a better quality and with a better driver. Now the car overall probably slightly worse. Combination of tyre, driver should negate that. There's no way that Sargent in a Williams at Australia, don't forget as well. Like the Williams has obviously improved recently, but at Australia versus Yuki Tsunoda in the Alpha Tauri, which hasn't really improved all that much. There's no way that differential should be that big. And Tsunoda on full 5 push there has managed to cut, about a 10th. That feels nonsensical. Apparently a 2-stop is actually going to be faster, so I'll be intrigued to see if they do 2 stops. Piastri's come in, so I think they might be 2-stopping. A 2.6 pit stop. It's not super fast, but it's not super slow either. It is the 2nd fastest pit stop. Bear in mind that Piastri's the only other person to have done one. It's the slowest pit stop. Get these tyres up to temperature, please. Nick De Vries, you've got 3 laps here before you pit. You're still on 62% mediums. I think he can go full attack for 3 laps. I think he can go full attack for 3 laps here. I don't think there's any downside there. That's Albon in and out of the pits. I just saw him come in and out, and this is the one that kind of matters here. Oh, Sargent came in as well at some point, and still came out ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. So the undercut didn't work then, did it? Oh, God. Oh, no, he's pushing these tyres, isn't he? He's deliberately pushing these. We'll just get the tyres down, temperature-wise. So Albon has pitted and still come out ahead of De Vries, which isn't at all alarming. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda needs to get past Zhou Guanyu here. ASAP. Or crash. First virtual safety car. Oh, it's Zhou's fault, though.
I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. Zhou Guanyu crashed into you.
Now we're at turn 11 now. Now there's an inviting opportunity there.
So Tsunoda's on the inside.
And
Zhou
there,
Guanyu turns
the
in.
cars make contact, and they'll have to pick
And
themselves
Tsunoda's
up
out.
after that.
No, they're not going to be able to pick themselves up, Crofty. He's out.
As
Oh, it's a full safety car, apparently. We'll stick to the strategy rather than doing 1 stop. Oh, excellent. Nick De Vries is on the opposite side of the track. Hulkenberg's had a pit stop issue, which doesn't really affect us right now, of course, because we're all pitting. That's kind of really done nothing for De Vries overall. Hasn't even cost the Williamses anything. Ah, that's an interesting thing. Behind the safety car, I wonder if temperatures are going to be a bigger deal this year. Because normally you just slam them on conserve behind the safety car. Also, will the safety car wait for everyone this year? So it's just a De Vries. The Redemption is on, as I'm dubbing it. But the only place he's gained in this race is due to Tsunoda being out. Of course, the first retirement of anyone is our car. In 5 races I've done across 2 saves. I should say this is the first recording I'm doing in advance, so don't panic if I don't act on any of your comments. If you do leave comments, all comments are appreciated. Just know that, of course, by the time you're seeing a recording now, I would likely be a couple of days ahead in terms of recording versus you seeing it now. The plan for this is to release daily for the first week, and then we'll cut out weekends from there on in. Yeah, that's essentially the plan. Interesting. So doesn't seem to really matter all that much to go on standard or not, because they're just not getting temperature anyway. Is the safety car coming in? It hasn't come in. I don't know why they're using ERS on harvest. That doesn't seem right. They don't appear to warm up their tyres all that much either. They seem to just automatically harvest fuel though. Safety car in this lap? Yes. So this will help. Some people on hards here, so they are one-stopping. Some people, I think, two-stopping. Hunting the back of Norris via De Vries now, rather than Sonoda. Both on softs. Sargent went soft-soft, I now recognise. So he's definitely two-stopping. And going on medium at the end. I mean, excellent deployment here, Nick, so far. Try to get him to deploy in the more opportune moments to get an overtake in. What's your confidence like, buddy? You still got high confidence. Don't really feel like increasing or decreasing your chance of incident there. What do you mean overtake failed? You didn't even attempt one. No worries, the race isn't over. Bring that tyre back down, of course. Oh, as soon as I stop looking, overtakes are happening. As Bottas goes for De Vries. Great. Cheers, Valtteri. De Vries is rubbish, isn't he? We've just been left behind because De Vries is useless. New virtual safety car. Who's crashed? Hulkenberg, who was the one who crashed in practice. What's he done here? Apparently his car's already broken before the highlights begun. That's a bug. I think he's done the same thing. I think he's had exactly the same crash there. Isn't he a VSC, weirdly? I can't see them. Are they out? I think they must be out because I can't see them. Yeah. We've got one more pit stop. There's not much in going on a soft versus a medium here. The overall, it's 4 seconds slower, but you save a smidge of time by pitting under a virtual safety car. That's effectively the pit line, I think, as well. It's sort of registering for the pits. Magnussen and Sargent are in. They're going to benefit from this. I mean, it can't go worse, can it? Might as well take advantage of it. We can only be last. And if there's another incident, then we can go on softs again. Why was there a mistake? What happened there? That's kind of negated the... Yeah, what happened? Front left? Front left, I think. I actually took a full lap for that VSC to end. So get the tyres up to temperature, please, sir. There we are. That'll do us. He's actually gaining on Zhou Guanyu in last. But we know how that happened last time we got close to him. That's Zhou and Piastri. No, Sargent and Piastri, sorry. We'll watch this, and unfortunately that's now happened when we would have gone on to softs anyway. It's only a VSC, not a... It's a shame that it's the slower cars that are crashing and not any of the top 10. That's 2 cars actually out. I'm surprised that's not a full safety car. So everything that we would have gained is now undone. It's literally the lap we would have pitted on, lap 40. He actually does get Zhou Guanyu through the pit still, but this might end up being a bit of a non-race in the end. Unless there's a late safety car, which we can go on to softs for. Because De Vries doesn't appear to be capable of catching Bottas, even on fuel push. Stop bringing out virtual safety cars. Who's crashed now? Oh, actual front runners for once. Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton? Well, that's Gasly, definitely. Absolutely pointless. There's been an incident under the VSC. Right, so it's about to go green once again. 8 laps to go. Literally nothing we can do. I don't know why a safety car wasn't brought out for either of those. Penalties that will be dished out afterwards. Stroll's just overtaken Verstappen further up the road, which is crazy. Oh, he's on hards, Verstappen. That might be why. It's a shame De Vries isn't anywhere near capable of catching Bottas here. I think he's just done the fastest lap. I think he's just done a personal best for himself. That's not helpful, as the only medium runner in this section now. Hamilton takes fastest lap, but he's actually in 11th still. And I don't think he's got any hope of catching Albon. Well, at least there's some changes to that top 10, but alas, there are changes that kind of just happened because of crashes, not just random drivers doing well on that particular weekend. Verstappen now takes Stroll because they've one stopped actually on those mediums. They've done soft to medium one stop, which seems wild. So yeah, I think now Verstappen's gone because he's got some life in those hards compared to their... He's not going to catch 5 seconds though. Sorry, 2 seconds. The gap to De Vries remained 3 seconds. Just in case Bottas has a moment in those last few corners, we'll deploy everything on De Vries. 13th is something. Actually takes about 8/10 out of him, all told, in the end, but oh well. Yeah, well, places gained mostly because of retirements, which is a shame. Nick De Vries up 3 because of 3 people ahead of him on the road who didn't finish. Valtteri Bottas actually gains a place naturally and then does that as well. Carlos Sainz being mugged off again. I don't know how or why, but Lewis Hamilton fastest lap because... And he's in 11th, so he doesn't gain it. That's now 13 drivers with points, as Magnussen gets a couple, and I think Albon gets one too. A little bit more variation, but it's still not superb, is it, in terms of the spread and variation thereupon. Oh, and a 13th for Bottas puts them ahead of us. Great. We don't get in the top 10 of them either. 2.5 is our target for that. And the design's complete. Lovely. Oh, Hamalan, up one. And the front wing too, for good measure. Oh, so interesting. We get like a monthly update now in this year's game with a couple of news pieces based on other teams. Development hasn't really actually done anything. Oh, his cornering's gone up and Nick DeVries' overtaking has gone up. So we actually do see that. Accuracy for Yuki as well, along with reactions. We have medium confidence. That's fine, I guess. And then we have to look at this month's pit crew situation. Ideally, we want to get them underneath. It's weird that none of them seems to actually get their fatigue down. Even fatigue reduction still has it at 34%. That's Australia. New pieces for Azerbaijan, finally. Might see us move up the rankings a little bit. I am still somewhat concerned about the nose arcing of the Constructors' Championship right now, but fingers crossed that might be a little bit more variation as more races go by, more incidents happen, more people maybe go wide. Don't really see a lot of driver error these days. It's mainly just crashes. So I feel like they've reset that needle a little bit too far in the other direction. I don't just see people just randomly go wide other than Nico Hulkenberg, which resulted in a crash, but maybe we're just not being told about it as much. That might be what's going on there. I don't know. Maybe some drivers are still going a little bit wide or having a spin or whatever. We're just not being told about it. So typically you still get like a few drivers doing that on a weekend. It's not like your driver every weekend, which was the problem last year, but across the entire field, you typically have a few drivers have a little bit of a wobble here or there. So we need to find a middle ground if it's not happening at all anymore. Anyway, thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.